Imagine a ship so deadly, it's named for a grave. During Ireland's Great Famine from 1845 to 1852, hundreds of thousands fled starvation on vessels called coffin ships. These were no ordinary journeys. They were a desperate gamble for survival where the ocean became a graveyard. Today, we'll uncover the horrors aboard one such ship, the Elizabeth and Sarah, and the unimaginable suffering of its passengers. The Great Famine, or Angorta Mór, was a catastrophe born of nature and worsened by human failure. A potato blight, Phytophthora infestans, swept through Ireland in 1845, rotting crops in the fields. The poor, who relied almost entirely on potatoes, faced starvation as the blight returned year after year. But this wasn't just a natural disaster. British colonial policies turned hunger into horror. Ireland exported grain and livestock to Britain while its people starved. Absentee landlords evicted tenants who couldn't pay rent, leaving families homeless. With no food, no home, and no hope, over 2 million Irish fled, many boarding coffin ships to North America, praying for a new life. Coffin ships were aging cargo vessels, hastily refitted to cram in as many desperate emigrants as possible. Owners cut corners to maximize profit, ignoring British passenger acts meant to regulate safety. These ships were often unseaworthy, with rotting timbers and leaky hulls. Below deck, steerage passengers, often entire families, were packed into dark, airless holds. Sanitation was non-existent. Buckets served as toilets. Food and water were scarce, often spoiled or insufficient. Disease thrived in these conditions, with typhus, cholera, and dysentery claiming lives daily. Up to 20% of passengers died on some voyages, their bodies tossed overboard, sometimes trailing sharks. The Elizabeth and Sarah sailed from County Mayo in July 1847, bound for Quebec. This vessel was a nightmare made real. It carried 276 passengers, 64 more than its legal limit of 212. Each person was entitled to 7 pounds of provisions weekly, but none were distributed. Water was critically short. The ship carried only 8,700 gallons instead of the required 12,532. The 276 souls shared just 32 berths, sleeping in filth and darkness. There were no sanitary facilities, and the stench of disease hung heavy. The captain, inexperienced or indifferent, took the wrong course, stretching the voyage to 8 grueling weeks. By the time the ship broke down and was towed into the St. Lawrence River in September, 42 passengers had perished from starvation, fever, or dysentery. Their bodies were cast into the sea, a grim ritual that marked coffin ship voyages. Picture the passengers aboard the Elizabeth and Sarah. Families huddled together, weak from hunger even before they boarded. Parents watched helplessly as children grew feverish, their cries fading into silence. Survivors later described the hold as a living hell. People lying in their own waste, the air thick with moans and the smell of death. Typhus, known as ship fever, spread rapidly, its symptoms brutal. Splitting headaches, bone pain, and swollen limbs. One passenger's account from a similar voyage, recorded by Robert White in 1847, spoke of a reeling in the head as if it were going to burst, followed by agony that left victims unrecognizable. On deck, passengers were allowed just 1 hour a day, clutching meager rations of hard-tack biscuits during storms. The crew, often callous, ignored pleas for water or aid. For those who survived, the ordeal didn't end at sea. When the Elizabeth and Sarah reached Quebec, survivors faced Gros Isle, a quarantine station overwhelmed by the sick and dying. Thousands perished there in 1847, buried in mass graves. The coffin ships, especially in Black 47, left a scar on Irish history. They carried not just people, but the pain of a nation dispossessed. Yet those who survived built new lives, shaping Irish communities in America and Canada. Their resilience stands as a testament to the human spirit. The Elizabeth and Sarah is just one story among hundreds, a reminder of a tragedy we must never forget. The coffin ships were more than a mode of transport. They were a symbol of desperation and exploitation. If this story moved you, like, subscribe, and share to keep these histories alive. Let us know in the comments what other chapters of the Great Famine you'd like us to explore. Until next time, keep seeking the truth in the past.